This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. The threat of confrontation between the U.S. and Iran seemed to lessen today as President Trump adopted a wait-and-see attitude toward Iranian involvement in an attack on Saudi oil facilities. But at the same time, the Saudis are becoming more convinced it was Iran. Dale Hurd has the story.
Today, the president backed away from his locked and loaded tweet Monday after a brazen and sophisticated attack on Saudi oil facilities, leaving the world's largest refinery in flames.
I don't want war with anybody. I'm somebody that would like not to have war.
White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley says the president believes Iran did it, but
again, the president's being cautious, and if we were banging the gong today about Iran being the culprit definitively, without presenting the case to the American people, everyone would be saying he's a warmonger.
I think I'll have a stronger message, or maybe no message at all, when we get the final results of what we're looking at. But right now, it's too soon to say. There's plenty of time. You know, there's no rush.
A drone and mostly intact cruise missile meant to hit the oil facility have been found. They're two of the more than 20 explosive-laden drones and nearly a dozen cruise missiles that struck the facility. Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthi rebels have taken credit for the attack, but the U.S. apparently has an unclassified statement approved for release that shows Iran carried out the strikes from its own soil. The Wall Street Journal reported today that Saudi Arabia is increasingly confident that Iran directly launched a complex missile and drone attack from its southwestern territory. Experts say the drones and missiles flew close to the ground, eluding Saudi defense systems. Investigators are focusing on southern Iran near Iraq as the likely launch pad, according to the Journal. Meanwhile, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, addressing a group of clerics Tuesday, said there would be no diplomatic talks with the United States at any level. The remarks were apparently meant to end all speculation about a possible meeting between President Trump and Iranian President Rouhani during the upcoming UN General Assembly this month in New York. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. And joining us now with more is Frank Gaffney with the Center for Security Policy. What kind of global impact, Frank, does this attack have?
Well, the most immediate and obvious impact, of course, is the disruption of oil flows and the price of oil spiking, uncertainty about whether that will be resolved and back to the previous levels of production by the Saudis or not. And I think that the reality is that that kind of uncertainty is probably going to remain for some time to come. But there's a larger issue that I think is now getting properly attention that it hasn't had for altogether too long, and that is that the nature of the regime in Iran is one that cannot be tolerated, specifically the prospect that it might wield weapons of mass destruction, which is clearly its ambition. And that, I think, is now coming into sharp relief. I hope that the Europeans, for that matter, the Russians and Chinese, who have been indulging in this, again, crazy idea that there is going to be some basis for keeping the Iranians from realizing their nuclear ambition and that they will behave properly. That has to be set aside in the wake of this attack, especially if, as your reporting suggests, it's now clear that it was launched from Iranian territory itself, not through its proxies in Yemen.
Frank, if it is shown to be a fact that Iran is responsible for this attack, I mean, what do they have to gain? I mean, Saudi Arabia has a sizable army, right? I mean, shouldn't there be some fear on Iran's part at this point of a counterattack?
That's complicated, I think. On the one hand, I don't think they terribly fear the Saudis. They fear us, I think, but I believe that they're very carefully trying to figure out whether there will be real costs to them for these kinds of activities. There is reason to believe, based on how the president responded to their shooting down one of our drones and attacks on vessels in the Gulf and attacks on U.S. assets or friends in Iraq, for example, that they may be able to get away with even this kind of dramatic step. But the other part of this, which again adds to the complexity, as I'm sure your listeners know, is there is a theological conviction on the part of the regime in Iran that they will bring about the return of their Messiah, the 12th Imam, they call him, the Mahdi, if they can create conditions that look a lot like the apocalypse. If that's what they're about here, it may not be that they're simply trying to see what they can get away with. It may be that they're trying to precipitate a horrific regional, if not broader, conflict.
It certainly seems that's what they're up to. But fortunately, our president is taking a wait-and-see attitude, which I think is wise. Frank Gaffney, we always appreciate your insights. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for letting me talk to you about it.
Well, 2 suicide bombings in Afghanistan today leave 46 people dead. The Taliban claimed responsibility for both attacks. The first one was aimed at the Afghan president's campaign rally and killed 24 people. The second, near the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, killed 22. Officials say another 80 people were injured. Afghanistan holds presidential elections on September 28th. The Taliban has warned that polling stations and election campaigns would be targets. Well, for the second time in 6 months, voters in Israel are heading to the polls. The election will decide if longtime Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stays in office. Our team in Jerusalem has a look at today's voting, and we go now to CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, along with CBN's Julie Stahl and John Waggy. Great to see you all. Chris, we'll start with you.
Well, Wendy, it's great to be here. We're at the Likud headquarters right now, and as you say, with John and Julie. John has been studying and reporting on Israeli elections since 1996. John, tell us exactly why you feel this is different from all the others you've covered.
Well, as Wendy mentioned, in the first place, this is the second time in 6 months. So a do-over election's never happened here in Israel before. I see 2 primary divisions in the country. Obviously, you have many divisions in a country where we have 29 parties running at the same time for the parliament. But one is you're either with Bibi or against Bibi. It's Benjamin Netanyahu has been in office for an entire decade, and that's going to create a desire for change on the parts of some people. And it seems like you either love him or hate him, and they're going to get one more shot to try and remove him today. Except we won't know whether his supporters will come out in full enough force that he may be asked to form another government.
And the other fissure is the religious secular.
The religious versus secular divide. Ironically, that is the divide that caused him to not be able to form a government back in April. So the people are really going to have to go at this again, and they're even facing the prospects of a third election, which would be something almost no Israeli wants to see.
We'll find out if that's going to happen in the next few hours, next few days. Julie, you've been out on the streets talking to Israelis. What's the sense you have from talking to them on the streets?
Well, many Israelis were undecided, even at the polling booths. Many didn't know who they were going to vote for. They were conflicted. As John said, there was a lot of just either you were for Bibi or against Bibi. But even people we talked to that said, yeah, I liked what Bibi did, but I want to change. And then there were others who said, well, I really don't like him, but he's the only one who can lead the country. And one thing that was interesting to me was that it didn't matter the demographic, old, young, religious, secular, male, female. They still liked Bibi.
Yeah, exactly. So, Wendy, we're going to see the exit polls not too long, but we have to remind you and our viewers that really the final results may take days to find out the official voting results. Then there's going to be a time of who's going to be able to try to form a coalition government. So this will be weeks, days in the process. We'll continue to be reporting, but back to you right now, Wendy.
All right, Chris, Julie, John, thank you so much for that. And we will be watching and waiting here in the U.S. for those results. Well, House Democrats hold their first official impeachment hearings of President Trump today. The Judiciary Committee approved rules for the hearings last week, including allowing staff to question witnesses. First to testify, Trump's former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. He'll discuss the report by former special counsel Robert Mueller. For impeachment to happen, the committee would not only have to introduce impeachment articles against the president and win approval from the House, but the Republican-led Senate would have to convict Trump and remove him from office, which is very unlikely. And we'll have more on these stories and others this evening on Faith Nation. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, how a popular Christian organization is pushing back after their group was banned from a college campus.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us regent.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Duke University's student government votes not to recognize Young Life as an official group on campus. The reason? Young Life's stance on sexuality. The school paper reports student senators called it discriminatory. Young Life disagrees, and part of its statement of faith explains, quote, "We do not in any way wish to exclude persons who engage in sexual misconduct or who practice a homosexual lifestyle from being recipients of the ministry of God's grace and mercy as expressed in Jesus Christ. We do, however, believe that such persons are not to serve as staff or volunteers in the mission and work of Young Life." And joining us now is John Street with Campus Reform, a conservative watchdog to the nation's higher education system. Welcome, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Well, Young Life is saying they don't restrict who could attend their meetings. They're saying that they're only restricting people who engage in sexual misconduct or who practice a homosexual lifestyle from being on staff or leadership positions. Why is that not enough for the university?
Well, what we're seeing here is a clear-cut case of religious persecution on campus, plain and simple. And we see this time and time again throughout the college campus, all over the country. We saw in University of Iowa a very similar case just a few months ago, where Business Leaders in Christ was told that they wouldn't be an officially recognized student organization because they held traditional views on marriage. And they took that case to court and they won. And, you know, here we've been in touch with the student organization at Duke, Young Life. They said that they don't plan on appealing this decision, but, I think that Duke would do well to step in here and say enough is enough, whether you like the viewpoints of someone or find them offensive or not. They're still protected under the U.S. Constitution, and we need to respect those views of others.
Groups require their staff and leaders to ascribe to the group's beliefs. The college Democrats, for example, wouldn't allow a Republican to be their group's president. How is Young Life any different?
Well, it's not. And, you know, you wouldn't expect for a group to have a leader, any of its leaders, who don't adhere to that group's founding principles or to that group's beliefs. Just like you wouldn't expect a a group that is of Jewish students to not uphold Jewish beliefs, or a Muslim student association not to adhere to, to Muslim beliefs, you're not going to expect, a Christian organization like Young Life to have students who don't believe in fundamental Christian values. It just doesn't make sense. Just like you said, you wouldn't have a Democrat leading the college Republicans group, and you wouldn't have a Republican leading the college Democrats group. It just doesn't make sense.
Or someone who doesn't believe in the Word of God leading this, Young Life group, which is all about Christianity. Okay, well, another Christian group, InterVarsity, has taken the University of Iowa to court over this issue. Do you think this fight will ultimately lead to the U.S. Supreme Court?
I mean, look, we've seen this time and time again at the Leadership Institute's campus reform, where student organizations are not recognized. They lose recognition. They lose registered status at public universities and private universities, simply because their views are not in line with what the university or the student government deems to be inclusive enough, or they deem those views to be offensive. And what we're seeing here is the left-wing mob deciding what is offensive and what is not. And that's a very, very dangerous, slippery slope to go down, where we have a small minority group of people deciding what views can be expressed and which ones can't. That's not what our Constitution was founded upon, and that's not what we should tolerate here.
All right, John Street with Campus Reform, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Still ahead, we're going to switch gears and show you that you can eat healthy and save money all at the same time. That story when we come back.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
Welcome back. Healthy Living's Lori Johnson is going to show us how you can switch to a healthier diet without breaking the bank.
Just because some unhealthy foods like processed macaroni and cheese are cheap and some healthy foods like wild-caught salmon are expensive, don't think for a minute you have to spend a lot to eat healthy. Tiffany Terzak is living proof. She feeds her Atlanta family of 4 super healthy food for, get this, only $330 a month.
We eat real food, so food that comes from the ground, animals that eat plants from the ground. We hardly eat anything processed, and by processed, I'm referring to boxes, just add water type of things. We don't eat that.
Tiffany's online grocery budget boot camp is so popular, there's a waiting list. Probably because she saves her students an average of $2,400 a year.
I believe God has given me the gift of teaching people how to eat real food on a budget. Everything involved in that arena comes easy to me, and I know it's hard for other people.
Tiffany took me to her local grocery and shared her top tips, like stocking up on sale items.
What really caught my eye is this, and these are drumsticks for $1.79 per pound, marked down from $2.49, and these are free-range organic as well. And there are several packages up here. There's at least, 4, 5, 6 packages of them. So when someone is concerned about eating healthier food, trying to buy organics, but they always say that organic costs so much, if you just keep your eyes open, you can find really great deals on organic food at the grocery store.
So you would buy all of those packages and put them in the freezer?
I would, because the sales cycle for grocery stores is 6 to 8 weeks. And now I don't have to buy it at full price and say 2 weeks from now, we're good to go for several weeks.
When you hit the produce department, comparison shop. You'll be surprised some organics, like carrots, are usually pretty cheap.
So it's a 30-cent difference between conventional and organic, which is really great if you're trying to buy better quality food, but trying to keep it within the budget.
Don't pay more for chopped or washed produce. Save big money by doing it yourself. Seasonal produce is usually less expensive and abundant. And check out the bargain bin.
Some of the stores will include organic produce in this marked down section, and it doesn't change the price. It's still 99 cents for that bag, which can really save you a lot of money.
Frozen produce can be just as healthy as fresh and often a lot cheaper. And buying the right stuff in bulk also saves. For example, these big containers of probiotic-rich yogurt are a lot less per ounce than single-serving containers. Hunt for low-priced canned foods like these fiber-filled organic beans, 10 for $10.
What you may not realize is that you don't have to buy 10 to get the deal of $1 per can.
Wild canned fish is way cheaper than fresh or frozen, and it's just as healthy. Here's a good tip: only buy food at the grocery store.
Aluminum foil will cost you more at the grocery store than it would if you were to buy it at a different store that wasn't a food-focused store.
Like Walmart?
Like Walmart, Costco, Target.
Watch out for the specialty cheese section. The blue cheese here is twice the price of what's in the dairy section. Steer clear of bottled and canned drinks like juices and sodas. Stick with good old tap water instead. Also, avoid packaged snack foods like cereal bars. It's much healthier and cheaper to make them from scratch from organic whole oats.
If you are intentional with what you cook from scratch, and you cook the things that will have the biggest impact on your budget, then you can actually make cooking from scratch work in your favor.
Bone broth and kimchi are 2 of the best things for your gut. You can buy them at the store, but they're also really cheap and easy to make at home. First, buy meat containing bones. It's cheaper than boneless. After eating the meat, instead of throwing the bones away, save and toss them in a crock pot with water and 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Let sit for an hour, then add onion, carrot, and celery. Cook on low for 24 hours or longer. Remove the large pieces of bone and vegetables, then strain and enjoy.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
I might need some more food than that. But thank you, Lori. Great advice. You can see more outstanding stories about your health tonight on Healthy Living, starting at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, what President Trump said about baseball great Mariano Rivera while awarding him one of the nation's highest honors.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new CBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new CBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new CBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
President Trump presented the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Baseball Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera, calling him maybe the greatest pitcher of all time.
Mariano Rivera has made extraordinary contributions to American sports, culture, and society. He is the most dominant relief pitcher in the history of baseball, and more than that, he has lived the American dream and shines as an example of American greatness for all to see.
Rivera played as a pitcher for the New York Yankees his entire 19-year career and holds the record for saves. He's a native of Panama who didn't even speak English when he first came to the U.S.
And for me, it's an honor and a privilege to receive this award, this Medal of Freedom, which I mean, all I do is try to be the best and do the best for America.
And he did. Rivera was also the first player to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame unanimously and has 5 World Series titles over the course of his career. Well done. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us next time. Until then, from all of us here, have a great day and God bless you.